From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? Showtime, we're back. Aslan and Corey, it's Wake Up War Chant, part of the WarChant.com family. Check it out. Use the promo code WarChant30 for 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source, where you'll find all sorts of great stories from Corey, Ira, and even Gene right now. So get on board if you're not already. Let's bring in Corey Clark right now.
Even
Corey.
Gene will throw a story in there every now and again.
Yeah, so Gene's story focuses on 5 stars and whether they are boom or bust. Ever since the national title, that is, the 5 stars Florida State has signed since the national title. Do check it out. Speaking of that, though, we got a lot to talk about. A little baseball, a little basketball, a little football. Speaking of 5 stars, George Campbell no longer with us. He's in this world. He's in this galaxy, and so he's no longer at Florida State. Penn State, Corey, he's gone.
He was, I guess you would classify him as a bust. Never really. What did he have? 5 catches in his career? 7 catches?
13,
could never
I
really
think.
stay healthy, which didn't help. But certainly, when he signed with Florida State, people thought he would have a much bigger impact than what he had.
I know he caught a first down against Alabama and then had like a 60-yard catch against NC State, so he made him count. Know that.
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah, he did. He did. A lot of bang for your buck there with George.
I mean, dude, he literally had a procedure done to have bone removed from his hip and had all sorts of weird sports hernia surgery stuff. I think like he had a procedure done in Philadelphia. I mean, I guess you can call him a bust. I guess.
I mean, it's not fair, but that's reality, right? If you're a 5, he certainly didn't live up to his potential. Not that it was all his fault because of the injuries.
That's the thing, man. You get hurt. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little defensive because he went to my high school or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah, I feel weird calling him like a bust just because guy's always been hurt, man. And it's not like he's had bad ankle, his arm hurts. I mean, like we're talking hip, core. Like, I mean, I can't imagine having to deal with those sorts of injuries and play contact sport. But yeah, I mean, he did not produce. I mean, if you're talking about you're a 5-star guy, that's, potential All-American. He did not come anywhere close to that.
13 catches.
Yeah. So.
No, but yeah, I mean, I didn't mean it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, he's a big guy that can really run. I'm sure if he had been healthy, he would have had a much bigger impact than 13 catches. I feel like even when he was healthy, which wasn't much, he had a hard time making an impact. But yes, obviously the injuries derailed him in a huge way. And good luck to him in Happy Valley, man. I hope it works out for him. And that's not sarcasm.
Yeah,
I hope that works out for him up there.
I don't know if it was the Virginia Tech game or Samford, but I know he dropped a pass. That would have been a nice little sort of momentum shifting, or at least, would have given Florida State a spark in one game. I think he had more targets than Terry did in the Notre Dame game. Like he would get, I don't know, man. The rotation they had on offense were weird. We're going to roll there with Nyquan Murray until the wheels come off for whatever reason. And DJ Matthews tried. But I mean, I don't know really what he did to impact games either. It would have been interesting to see them go with Terry and Campbell a whole bunch, but I'll trust whoever's up there knows more than what we're doing down here. Says the famous Jets fan when they drafted Ken O'Brien over Dan Marino. So we'll trust those people. They know what they're talking about. Also, since we last rendezvoused, my guy Nasir Pops-Upshur and Amir Rasul have also transferred. Apparently, there's no room for a Muslim on the Florida State football program, which saddens me as part of the tribe,
right?
The literal tribe.
I'm sure that's what Willie told him.
Yep.
It's like, yep.
He's like, man, y'all want to pray at this time of hour? We need to practice at 5 a.m. Y'all want to stop and pray? We can't be doing that.
Sure. Sure.
It is. I mean, Amir, it makes sense. Obviously, I mean, crowded backfield. Although you'd figure, if Kalen's still rehabbing. That was a pretty gruesome injury. Who knows how full speed he'll be. But he's likely would probably be behind Anthony Grant and then obviously Cam Akers. So I guess that makes some sense. The Upshur thing hurts me, but Upshur has got no role to fill in this offense. I'm telling you, folks, half of you probably don't care about my evaluation skills. I don't know how good or bad they are. I should pull up Pro Football Focus. Nobody day in and day out at those practices, the Knoll drill, blocked as effectively as Nasir Upshur. All right, but you can't, he can't block he can't block a defensive end. I mean, he can block a linebacker and put him on his back. But he struggled trying to block Brian Burns like everybody else did. But, man, he could block really well, and he had pretty good hands, but there just wasn't a role for him in the offense with that skill set. Obviously, Trey McKitty saw a lot more action. So I don't know how many offenses out there fit him. If he can't go to College Station, I don't really know where does he go. I hope the best of both those guys, too, though. I mean, none of them did anything to embarrass the program, and when they had their number called, played their best and did a fairly admirable job. So sucks to see it, but I guess it's part of the business, right?
It is, yeah. Upshur, I don't know if surprised is the right word because, yeah, we were always kind of perplexed last year. Like, why isn't this cat playing more? And I know that he, I think there was an off the field issue, right? Wasn't he suspended for a half or something happened last year? But yeah, man, sometimes you just need a fresh start. And maybe he met with Brian. I mean, we don't know that it was Florida State's decision to have him move on, to process him, as we like to say. He might have been like, man, you're not gonna start me in front of McKitty. Maybe you like Cam McDonald a lot more than me.
They obviously like Gabe Neighbors.
So if there's not a spot for me, let me go because he can play, man. I think there would be plenty of schools that would like a guy like that. He's a physical guy and he's pretty athletic. When he did get the ball thrown to him, he was sometimes it'd be like, whoa, who was that?
Yeah.
Like he's got a little juice to him. So again, good luck to both those guys, man. You can't you just can't blame kids who don't know where they stand with the new coaching staff, and you only get to go to college once, and their football careers might legit be over very, very soon, to want to go maximize their last year and go play somewhere else.
Yeah, I do know.
Now, is Florida State going to get one of those guys?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Maybe they just leak them and they don't ever bring them back in. But certainly can't blame those three.
Right. I will say Cam McDonald seems to be optimistic about the role of the tight end in this offense. He cited, I think, two of the leading receivers at FAU in 2017 when Briles was there were actual H-back tight end sort of guys. So maybe it is part of the mixture for the Baylor Briles offense, but I just don't.
Did you look that up? Like he said that, and I wrote it. I quoted him saying it because I didn't want to write it as fact because I don't know if it's true.
Yeah. No, I never.
But I'm going to look it up right now while you talk.
Okay. All right. Very well. Thank you, Corey.
But yeah, he said that the two leading receivers for Briles' offense at FAU in 2016 were both tight ends.
Yeah. So
let me look and
all right,
see.
you check that out.
Well, see now Cam, FAU, according to this, FAU's fourth leading receiver that year was a tight end. He had 20 catches. Mm-hmm. And then the next closest was a tight end who had 6. So I don't know. Maybe these guys were like pseudo tight ends. I'm clicking on them to see if they were big dudes. Doesn't really look like it. So yeah, sorry, Cam. Doesn't look like that's completely accurate. But he did throw the tight end. Like looking at it here, tight ends caught 29 passes that year for FAU.
29.
So that's not bad. It was a little more. It was about 15% of the total passes were thrown to tight ends. That seems about right.
All right, there you go.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, rock and roll hoochie coo. We'll probably double back to something football related here, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So let's give some quick thoughts, obviously, to what the basketball team accomplished the other night with a program-setting 8th consecutive ACC win. What more can be said about Mfiondu Kabengele that hasn't already been said, Corey Clark?
I think he needs to come back for another year.
Okay.
I think that's obvious. You couldn't watch that game on Tuesday night and think that kid's ready to play at the next level.
Where'd you go? Hold the microphone closer to your mouth. We can't hear you, man.
There's zero chance you could have watched that kid on Tuesday night and thought he was ready for the next level. Right? No way. Yeah. Just doesn't have it. Doesn't have what it takes. No. Not really all that athletic. Shots broken. Not competitive. Doesn't want to rebound, so he's not physical. Can't hit a turnaround to save his life. Really needs probably another 2 years of seasoning for sure, but it's certainly one more year.
Dude, the turnaround fadeaway stuff is ridiculous. That's not even fair.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It really is how good he is. I mean, I don't. Again, I've been covering this team a long time. I don't remember a guy making this kind of jump to where, they were talking about it. LaFonso Ellis, who I think does a good job. I know people had problems with Reese Davis, and it was a bizarre broadcast from the kid talking about shopping at the Salvation Army to Lenardi's weird segment to Reese Davis seemingly getting upset that Clemson wasn't winning. But LaFonso Ellis is good. And man, I thought it was, I thought he was really on point when he was like, look, but I wasn't sure how well Florida State could do in a one-off in an NCAA tournament. He goes, I didn't know if they had like the manpower to make a serious run because they didn't have a go-to guy. Well, now they do. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Kabengele, when it's late and it matters, that's the guy who's going to be making plays for you. Plus, Trent Forrest is always a guy that they can count on too. And he looked more like the Trent Forrest. He's still not completely there, obviously, but he looked more like the Trent Forrest on Tuesday night from last March than he has in a long time. That dunk was crazy. That just came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But Kabengele's just an absolute beast. And there really is a chance he'll come back. It's not an automatic that guy's a lottery pick. There are a lot of great players in this class that'll be coming out. And he hasn't really been scouted all that much. I'm sure they're there now. They're coming now. But I don't know how early a team in the lottery or top 20 would draft a kid that's never started a game and has really just kind of come on. You know what I mean?
Right.
If he came back for another year and continued to develop and averaged, 20-12, which is certainly within the realm of possibility with the way he plays, and he'd start next year actually, man, he could be a top 10 pick. I mean, he could, and he seems to love his teammates. He seems to like college. He's a really intelligent kid. Doesn't need the money, as we looked it up. His uncle made $127 million in the NFL, in the NBA. You as long as they have a good relationship, which we're led to believe they do, he's not going to want for money. So yeah, man, I hope he comes back because he's a joy to cover. But I would never say that the kid should come back because if he's a guaranteed first round pick, I mean, nobody would blame him for going.
Does he project as like a 4 or a 5 at the NBA level?
I mean, I think the way the game is changing, he would probably play a 5. He would be a little undersized against obviously some of those guys, like Porzingis, if he was ever healthy, would tower over him. But he's also, it doesn't seem like he's stopped growing. Like he's already grown like 2.5 inches since he got to Florida State. So he might keep growing. But I think in the new NBA, he would be a 4 and a 5 because he'd be a stretch 5. And he can bang underneath, man. He's a good defender. There's nothing really he doesn't do well. No. So and he's such a competitive, hardworking kid that I think that would entice NBA teams more than anything. Is like, okay, we know this kid's not going to just settle because he gets first round money. This kid's going to work hard to be one of the best. And he's made this kind of leap in 2 years. 2 years ago, people were wondering what he was doing on the roster. He was recruited by Binghamton. And now you could make a case that he is one of the elite players in the ACC. Not make a case. He is one of the elite players in the ACC. So imagine what he's going to be in another 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Sky's the limit, Aslan, with my man Fee.
They are going to take down UNC in the Dean Dome?
I'm through picking against them. I didn't think they were going to win Tuesday night just because of the desperation that Clemson was going to play with after 2 really tough 1-point losses on the road. That's a proud team. That's a Sweet 16 team from a season ago. Top 20 team in the preseason, and they desperately needed a home marquee win. And the way Florida State played in that one was about as impressive as anything they've done all season. They didn't need that win. They had won 7 in a row already. They could have sleptwalked through then and be like, well, they're going to get us. This is a schedule game. They're playing hard. We don't have quite whatever. But, man, they were, after a slow couple of minutes start, they just completely dominated that game. Yeah. Again, and they're all like they had 9 guys score. They had 6 guys hit a 3. They played 11. It's just the same old Florida State thing. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Again, I would be surprised because that's a good team. Florida State hadn't won up there in a good while. But I wouldn't be stunned because Florida State's really good, man. and they're playing with a ton of confidence, and if they can knock down some threes and continue to play defense like this, like the defense is really, really impressive. And if they continue to play defense like this, then yeah, they can win at North Carolina. Wine and cheese crowd.
Hey, I forgot to mention this. On Sunday, I was waiting to go inside the post-game news conference area at Hauser. Which, by the way, are we ever gonna have any signage that says that it's Dick Hauser Stadium, or is it just Mike Martin Field now? We're just going to pretend that Dick Hauser never came to Tallahassee.
Is there not anything that says that anywhere?
I mean, it used to always be above the scoreboard, like on that little arch, and they have not put it back.
That's odd.
But anywho, while I was waiting to get in there, this little guy was like, "Wake up!" And he was with his father. Apparently, they both listen to the show every single day. They wanted to say what up, and I forgot to give them a shout out on the Monday program. So here we are. And speaking of baseball,
like a kid, like an elementary kid.
Probably like not even elementary. Probably like 3 years old, 4 years old.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm bad at guessing children's ages. Like,
he might have been 9.
No, he wasn't that old.
He's a 3-year-old.
He wasn't Brady's peer. He was younger.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, it was super cool, man. And speaking of, this is the part of the show where we'll talk about baseball. But then, plot twist. The game was postponed due to weather. They have not announced a makeup time. But they'll be back in action Friday against Youngstown State, 4 p.m. at Hauser, 3-game set. Everybody's doing great, man. What about this football team? They're probably doing good too, Corey. It's Renegade Express time. Let's giddy up, shall we, Corey?
Let's do it.
All right. This is Souza _ZP. Wake up! Originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Duval! He put in all caps. I had to do it, Corey. Home of Limp Bizkit. Currently stationed in San Diego. Answer to your question about who my favorite sophomore is, it's my main man, Touchdown Terry. I'm sure Corey will agree. He will have double the yards than last season. Even with a stacked defensive back class, Asante and Woodby would be locked down and ready as long as proper technique is taught during the offseason. Basketball is fun and all, but I'm ready for the spring game. I love you guys. P.S. Believe in Blackman and Bryles, everyone. All right, so no question. Just wanted to vent. Let us know what he thinks.
I agree with that. I think Kendall Bryles will make it a point to say, hey, is that just man-to-man coverage out there on 15?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna attack that. And then I also think James Blackman, at least judging from the 30 passes, 40 passes, whatever he threw in that NC State game, is much more willing to just air it out to my guy.
Oh yeah.
Just go get it. I mean, Terry's going to lose like 7 pounds every game because he's just going to be running nothing but wind sprints. But I think those two guys, I believe in those two guys I believe that those two guys believe in Tamori and Terry. Like I believe in Tamori and Terry. And they're going to be throwing it up to him a good bit. Also, yeah, man, I'm genuinely excited about Blackman.
I am too. I'm
glad he doesn't have to fight for this thing.
Yeah.
Now he needs to stay healthy. We get it. But a healthy James Blackman, knowing it's his team, knowing it's his offense, doesn't have to fight anyone. Team believes in him. Man, I'm excited to see what my man can do. And I'm telling you, it all goes back to him almost fighting 7 Miami guys after that game last year that he didn't even play in. He played 1 snap. Just, I don't know why. I don't know why that image sticks out. But that dude cares a lot about Florida State. And he'll take on 7 Miami defensive linemen if he has to, if they're talking smack to him. I don't know. I just think that's, again, you talk about culture changers. That might be your guy.
And I will gloat if he does well, because I endorsed him last year and he didn't get the job. And we'll get to it. This is the problem. This is why I get in trouble, Corey. Like, I'll endorse him and say he'll do well. Then it'll make me feel good about myself and what I know. And then, not related to this, not related to football or the show, dude, so my house, you've been in my house, Corey, you've been in the Midtown offices. Like, I have a stackable washer-dryer in my bathroom, ladies and gentlemen, and there's a wall between it and, like, my shower. And, like, usually I'll vacuum it and, like, clean the entire bathroom. And little 3-inch gap, Corey. I'm getting to something really crazy here. Between the washer-dryer and the wall, there's always, like, wooden debris, like dirt and wood. And I, like, tell the property manager, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. You might want somebody to come over here and, like, patch up the wood trim on the wall. They send a handyman over here. It's like, oh, it's your dryer vent. There's a hole in it, so it's spitting out stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm not cleaning mulch and clods of dirt in my dryer. Well, dude, the other day after we recorded the Monday show, I wake up on Tuesday morning and my bathroom floor is covered with like bugs, with like these little looking flies. I'm like, what the hell? Vacuum them up. I took a photo. I sent it to my buddies. Like those look like termites. Termite guy comes on Wednesday, and I'm like, I don't know where they came from. I'm like, but they're all gone. I'm like, I don't know where they came from, but maybe this part of the wall right down here because it looks like it's a little bit bowed out. The guy pries it off, and he's like, yep, there it is, man. That's termite damage. You probably have an infestation. I'm like, awesome. And I told my landlord, like property manager, like 3 months ago about this. See, I know stuff. I know stuff every now and then, Corey.
That's the point. Okay.
That is the point.
I thought it was just a woe is me segment, and I'm not making fun of that because that's awful. That's probably not a lot of fun for you. The old termites.
Yeah.
Termites aren't good for a house.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, that's the thing, folks. Like I sometimes I say things and then it happens and then I'm like, see, I do know. And then I come on the show and I spit hot takes. All right, Maxwell Gibbs asks Corey, what is up, AH and CC? Monday morning when you two were out interviewing players, was Corey's favorite song "Nuck If You Buck" blaring?
No, sadly. We were in the museum. We weren't out by the practice field, so we didn't get to hear any of the music.
Right. Now, on to a very serious matter. Do we know if that stupid backpack has been put away with the spirit spear? We don't. We don't.
Again, I will say this, there weren't a lot of great things that happened during the season. The backpack was not one of them either. But if we're cleaning house of the mistakes that were made, DeAndre Francois, Greg Fry, Walt Bell, and and Alonzo Hampton, and we're replacing them with upgrades. Ron Dugans, Kendall Briles, Randy Clements, James Blackman, maybe. We have to address the backpack. You have to. Your fans don't like it. They're embarrassed by it. Players don't always get to make the call. Willie Taggart, my man Willie Taggart, and Harlan Barnett, more specifically, has to step in and decide what they're going to do with this. But the backpack, I think legitimately, the players at the end of the year stopped playing hard on defense because they didn't want to force a turnover, because they didn't want to be seen on camera wearing the backpack. So you got to come up with something. I'm telling you, we've talked about it, like maybe the Road Warriors football pads.
That's what you guys do.
We've talked about the spear. We've talked about jumping on the horse and riding it over to the sideline. There's so many things you can do and incorporate all the tradition of Florida State and the Seminole tribe without, making it overtly racist, doing something Seminole Indian related, than just wearing a backpack, man. We can't do it. We just can't. As people have joked about for a year now, take that backpack, fill it with cash, and hand it to O-lineman recruits. Yeah. That's the only use for the backpack.
Like if Clemson did it, it would still be cheesy. If Alabama
100%.
did it,
it's not just a Florida State thing. Anybody that would be cheesy.
Bad idea. Someone's got to eventually own that. Like I need to know what play, because they're like, the players who we need to know. Anyhow, Guy Knoll.
It would have been cooler with a paper bag.
What's that?
Or a bank bag, like a bag that you would do a bank heist with.
We probably shouldn't advocate criminal behavior.
Well, but securing the backpack, you're not even. It's called securing the bag. I get the reference,
right?
But I don't feel like when they say secure the bag, they mean a school backpack,
right? Yeah. In what mob movie, drug transaction, bank robbery has a crocodile magenta backpack been used to carry the funds? Exactly. I'm going to go out and say never.
100%. Never, ever happened.
But here, how about this, though? True, sincere question. Would you rather them get rid of the backpack or music at practice?
Oh, the backpack. I don't care about music at practice. I like the music at practice.
You're lying. Guy Knoll says, by the way, this guy talked some smack about us earlier in the week, so we don't really have to answer it because I don't even know what this even means. He says, is there nothing in this podcast about LY? Surely the letters L and the letters Y. I think that means last year. I don't know. Surely, because he got mad that we got perplexed that your column on Fry got interpreted as some sort of hit piece. He accused me of being Jim Acosta. That's great. But yeah, surely you can do an entire show without digging up last season. LY should be buried and never spoken of again, like Serve Pro's slogan promise, like it never even happened. I have no idea what that means. Do you?
No.
LY?
But again, what should we talk about this year?
No.
Like
Corey,
we should talk about 2019,
no.
the season that hasn't happened yet.
Rookie baby, wake up. Get up, get out, and get something, Corey Naslon. Great job on the show. To answer one of your Renegade questions, I asked everybody who their favorite sophomore was because we interviewed the sophomores. Rookie Baby's favorite sophomore is Keyshawn Helton. He's from my hometown of Pensacola, and his recent interview made me like him even more. But the sophomore that I hope takes the biggest step forward is Xavier Peters. We could really use a great pass rusher off the edge. You ain't lying. On that note, what sophomore would you guys like to see take their game to the next level, or which sophomore player will be most critical to FSU's success next year? Hashtag Nole Nation.
Yeah, that's a really good question. James they all
Blackman.
need to take a next step.
James Blackman's still a sophomore, redshirt, but he's a sophomore.
Yeah, he doesn't count though. I think we're talking about the Tribe 18 class.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have room to grow. Both those corners are good, but can get better. Woodby can become like a game-changing type player. You hope.
I don't know. I think he's always going to be a really good, solid, steady.
One of the offensive linemen that didn't play.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But they're redshirt freshmen though. But you're talking about Tribe 18.
Yeah,
okay.
Tribe 18 guys. I would say those guys. I would say the guys up front. If one or two of them can become an actual player.
One of the Christian Armstrong or Meadows.
That would help immensely.
Yeah,
immensely. I think Helton and Harrison are going to have nice years. I think they're good players and will be counted on a lot. But I think those two for this team needs the younger guys to win the jobs and be good. So hopefully one of those two guys can make a difference.
Yeah.
Up front, I mean.
I think to a certain degree, like Keyshawn Helton's kind of a barometer on like Taggart's roadmap to success because like he fits the whole, plays hard, right mindset, team first, just wants to win, like all that stuff that embodies. But like can he produce when he's having to play 60, 70 snaps a night and getting pounded and knocked off of his route? Like, can he really be a solid contributor kind of guy? Because he kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know, like Kermit. But, I mean, Kermit was a little thicker than he was. And, Kermit never really all amounted to all that much, at least as a wide receiver. So that's what I'm curious to kind of see. I do like the kid. Hope the best works out for him. But I'll say like Xavier Peters, they do need somebody to rush the passer because, Josh Kane, though, I'm not counting on that I'm not counting on some sort of light to go off on him in year 3. Could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times before, but I'll go with you there, Rookie Babe. I think Xavier Peters, that's a good answer.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a guy that could be a real difference maker.
Enol_2000. Good evening, guys. I know this seems like light years from now, but always best to plan ahead in case we can wish this into existence. Would you guys ever consider doing a War Chant event at a venue in the Bradenton, Sarasota, Southwest Florida area when you guys cover the team at IMG in the fall? I know you plan events like that in Tallahassee once in a while for subscribers, but thought it would be cool to do a road edition if you could line up a venue. Doesn't even have to be Bradenton, Sarasota, but a spot where subscribers and Nole fans in the Southwest Florida area can meet the War Chant crew. If that is even something you'd consider putting to the radar, I have connections that could come in handy to help coordinate. Just want to do my part if I can. If it's a dumb idea, you can always tell me to shove it. I'll still listen to the show.
Shove it.
Shove it, yeah.
Shove it hard.
C691.
We do stuff like that, don't we?
Yeah, we can do that, man. I'm down. The only problem last time was like Corey, I think you came down on shifts, right? Like you were there for the first 2 days and then you went back up to Georgia.
I believe so.
Something
or the
like
last
that?
Yeah, I was definitely there for the first couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I was staying with my parents in Pinellas County. So like I was literally driving down that morning, covering practice and then heading back to Pinellas County. But I mean, maybe one of those days we can maybe do like a lunch thing because obviously they're going to practice in the morning. We might not be able to do like a full blowout night.
But wouldn't you think the best way to do something like that, and we do it, like Gene and Michael will go talk to booster clubs around the state, that would be the best avenue, is to like coordinate something with the Tampa Seminole Club or the St. Peter's. I don't know how many there are down there. Sarasota, St. Pete. I mean, maybe they all have their own, but one of those Seminole clubs.
Yeah.
And that would be the better way to do it, because I don't know that we could get people out at IMG at I don't know, in Bradenton. I don't know there'd be a huge turnout in like August 8th. But if it was already an event that was scheduled, we could maybe do something to coincide with it.
There's a manatee.
Would be my idea. What's our appearance fee, Aslan? I forget. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I think it's $3,500 each. Or I mean, if they're gonna not use cash, if they're gonna wire the money, but they give us cash in hand. I think it's actually two each.
2,000. Yeah, I think that's right. That sounds right, and obviously a free meal.
Yeah. Okay. But there's a Manatee County Seminole Club, which is Bradenton is in Manatee County, I think, or Sarasota is. So maybe we could help coordinate with them or something. Yeah, maybe like a lunchtime thing, because like I said, to do it at night won't work for me logistically, because I imagine I'll probably do the same thing and say with one of my mom or my dad or whatever. So, but yeah, appreciate that. C691027, otherwise known as the guy who identified Tamori and Terry, agrees with Souza in that he's most excited about touchdown Terry. He says if you throw him 50 home run balls, he's scoring on 35 of them. Then he asks, when is Coach A coming on, perhaps? Who's Coach A? I don't know. Is that code for somebody?
I don't know. Alameda? That can't be right. Lonnie Alameda?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll get her on. We'll see.
Maybe the coach, but I would say this, now that he asked that question, maybe we could get Tamori and Terry's high school coach on before the season.
Okay.
Since I've essentially started the fan club,
right?
I'd like to know all about him. First time he saw him, when he knew he was going to be awesome, how the whole recruitment, go into it a little bit. Yeah. I think that'd be something interesting in the doldrums of summer.
Yeah. Bimini Bound. Aslan asked how much autonomy would we give to Kendall Briles, and I did in the thread. Corey asked people how much autonomy would you give Kendall.
I hope they said all of it.
In my opinion, this is Bimini Bound. My opinion, there's practically no amount of autonomy too great to give him. Even if he started piping in on defense, I wouldn't be closed-minded. I would be using his fresh outsider input to evaluate this program on every level. I think he's capable of doing that, having worked under his dad. Don't get me wrong, Willie gets a credit if this ship gets turned around, but there are going to be a lot of people saying it was all Briles. Do you guys think that would cause internal problems with the coaching staff?
No, I don't. I don't think that. I think if Briles was like, hey, man, I can't coach with this music. I just can't do it.
Please.
Can we please turn it off or turn it down? That might cause a problem. But other than that, I believe he has complete autonomy.
Are you being sarcastic, or are you being genuine when you say, like, if he was like, I don't want the music?
Oh, I mean, I'm being sarcastic because I don't think he's going to care. Okay. But, I mean, I do think I wonder, that might be where the autonomy ends. Like, he can do everything else. He can organize. He can even organize how they practice on offense.
Right.
What they do from drill to drill, from period to period. But that might be, all of a sudden, if you're telling Willie, now we can't have the music anymore, because of what it would say to the players, right? Whose team is this? You're a guy that always plays music at your practice, and then the guy that you hired to come in and fix the offense, and now he's calling all the shots. So is he the head coach? I think that would be where the autonomy ended. But everything up until that point, Briles gets to call everything. Every shot is his.
Like, what if they're winning, though? So I think, it comes.
What if they're winning? They're gonna be winning.
Okay. All right.
What's the matter with you?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a lot of internal problems, man. I think. I don't know, man. I wouldn't. I assume it would not. It's a business. These are all grown men. They know the deal. I mean, Dante Pimpleton and Telly Lockett, quote Willie guys. They know why Kendall Briles is getting 7 figures a year to come here. Yeah, they'll go along with it. It's for their own self-preservation too, man. if Kendall Browse doesn't succeed, then they won't succeed. And, if everyone's thriving off everybody. So I don't think ego is going to get in the way. At least I don't think it would. But, yeah, who knows, man? There might be some sort of strife. But, hey, man, they were 5-7. And for the best we know, there wasn't any sort of real sniping going on. So if they're going to be doing better this year, surely there'll be more harmony in the tribe.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Wanted to ask a question about this, but it's not my turn to ask questions. We'll finish it out. This is actually the last one. Comes from Ranye. Ranye's from Gwinnett County. Ranye used to call in when we used to take phone calls, but we don't do that anymore.
Lawrenceville, Georgia, I think, is where Ranye is from.
Yeah, you're right. Look at that. Heck of a memory on you. Famous athletes from Gwinnett County: Bradley Roby, Cameron Lynch, Cameron Hayward, Bryce Butler, Jared Cook. And we'll get back to taking questions.
Lewis Williams.
We'll get back to taking questions over the phones probably later on. There's actually a couple in the voicemails that I got to look at that have been sent in the last week. They actually may be good, but I just haven't looked at it well. Anyhow, to answer one of your Renegade questions, my favorite sophomore is Robert Cooper because he's from Gwinnett County. Do you think David Kelly will get a waiver and be able to move into an off-field coaching role? I don't. I think we touched on Monday. I don't know what the basis of it is. This wasn't, again, it wasn't like Willie hired Ron Dugans and then Ron Dugans, backed out, or it wasn't like they hired somebody to be receivers coach and then something went terribly wrong that thrust David Kelly into a tight predicament to have to be the wide receivers coach 2 weeks or a month before kickoff. He'd been announced as the wide receivers coach in December or January. So, I don't know what the basis is going to be for why they need to get that waiver. So I don't think it's going to happen. But, hey, again, I've been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see how he's going to get it.
I feel like you could do a ton of things. Like maybe he had a hard time sleeping last year because of just the demands of the job of being an on-field coach.
Okay.
Could you get like a doctor's note? Even if it's completely made up, they wouldn't know. Was the NCAA going to actually do a check?
Right.
You get a doctor's note that says for his health, for his mental and physical health, he can't be putting in the 80 hours a week that are common for an on-field coach. So he needs to limit. But we don't want him to lose his job, so we're trying to put him in a different, a different role that would be much better, much more conducive to his life, his lifestyle.
Look at you,
where
man.
He can get some sleep.
Corey S. Clark Esquire, man. Print out the business
that out there,
cards.
man. Or the NCAA, is the NCAA heartless? They don't care about people's health. Maybe my man just says, I can't do the 8 hours a week. I hadn't done it in a while. I hadn't been an on-field coach in a while. I'm more of a behind-the-scenes guy. That last year really taxed me emotionally, physically, mentally, and I need a break. So I need to go back into the role that I'm accustomed to and let one of these young whippersnappers, like 42-year-old Ron Dugans, come in. He's probably not 42. I'd say he's probably 40. He needs to come in and take this job, and I need to take a step back. I feel like that waiver's signed off on in 15 minutes. Justin Fields is playing football at Ohio State next year.
Yeah.
That waiver was granted. David Kelly's waiver can be granted.
He's 41, by the way, Dugans.
It's a dumb rule anyway. Dugans is?
Yeah, he'll be 42 in April, though. You're close.
Oh, there you go. It's close. There you go. See, he's young. He's young compared to David Kelly.
Yeah.
David Kelly was a high school coach up in my neck of the woods winning state championships 25 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He's got to be in his mid-50s, doesn't he?
David Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's 56.
He's been doing this forever.
Yeah. Or you know what he could do? He could maybe choke one of the players and then they'll have to file a restraining order against him, and that way he'll be like, hey, I can't be on the practice field because I'll be too close, but I can just stay in the front in the back office. That's how I would recommend doing it.
A lot of avenues to go down, Aslan, but when does the NCAA not grant waivers anymore?
I know, man. But yeah, I think they'll get the Jordan Travis one. I just don't think, again, I don't think he'll get the one. I don't think David Kelly's going to get one. I can't find him. I can't find his date of birth. In this day and age, it's 2019. I can't find someone's date of birth. Come on, man.
Well, he was the head coach at Dunwoody High School in 1994 because they won the state championship. One of my buddies played for him.
84.
And that was 24 years ago. You have to assume, even if he was a young head coach, he was like 31 or 30. So that puts him around, I'd say that puts him around 55, 56.
He was a grad assistant in 79-80 at Furman.
So geez. Okay. So then you're looking at
he was like 22,
1960 23. Was probably when he was born, right?
58? Oh, geez. Way before 1960. Dude, he was a grad assistant in 1980. You're going to be like 23, 24 when you're a grad assistant.
Well, that's not way before 1960.
Like 56.
1956. So he's probably, what are we looking at, 62? This should be a segment every week on the show. Guess the coach's age.
Oh, man. Fantastic, man. All right, that's it. That is a wrap on the show. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. I mean, I'm sure there is, but we don't want to do it all on a slow day like this.
We want to save some of it. Basketball team, we probably won't talk to y'all tomorrow, so watch the oddly, the basketball game is on CBS, Aslan, on Saturday afternoon.
Look at that. Prime time. Look at that.
3:45 p.m. on CBS.
You know what I can't wait for, Corey? I mean, you mentioned about Reese Davis. I can't wait till the ACC network gets started. It's actually on air and everything, and they play like Clemson, Florida State 2015. And then like every day there's going to be a thread. We're on ACC network, but they're showing us lose. They hate us, man. This is stupid. They're conspiring against us. You know, I can't wait till they show they're going to show nothing but us losing, and everyone's going to they won't. They'll show us beating Nebraska. They'll show us beating Clemson like a drum in 13. But no one will ever remember that. Just like every time I put it on there, they're showing us losing to somebody. I don't get it.
I am genuinely interested, and we'll wrap it up. I'm sorry, we don't have to go down this road, but genuinely interested in how the ACC network changes the way ESPN handles the ACC. Because we can argue all we want. There obviously were some financial reasons for ESPN to build up the SEC like it did in the mid part of this decade. There just was. I am convinced the only reason Mississippi State got to number one in the country was because of ESPN. It was overloading us with how awesome the SEC is because they had a financial stake in the SEC. They had a lot of money in the SEC, and the SEC was the best conference. It wasn't worlds better than the other conferences, but it was the best conference, and it was shoved down our throats. So I wonder now that they have a financial stake in the ACC like this, and they have a network like this where they want to drive subscribers and viewers to, how much they start building up the ACC brand. And if NC State say NC State beats Louisville, Duke and Florida State in back-to-back weeks, are they number one in the country? That's what I want to see, buddy. I want to see what the impact is of the ACC network on ESPN, and obviously on the rest of the schools to see how much money it gets brought in. But I am interested in that, and if that changes at all Florida State fans' perceptions of what ESPN thinks of them, because they have to build Florida State up. Florida State is one of the main reasons with Clemson, really Florida State, that there is an ACC network. I mean, because Florida State's carried this conference in football for a large part of the first 30 years of that they were here, that they were in this conference, or 25 years. So, it's going to be interesting to see how much love the ACC network gives Florida State, because I don't know that there would be one without it.
Yeah, man.
If Florida State had bolted for the Big 12, thank heavens they didn't. But if Florida State had bolted for the Big 12 in 2011, would there be an ACC network? Would there be an ACC?
I mean, you got Duke and Carolina, playing, and they're one. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting because obviously the SEC network is like a football model, and I think the ACC network, they're going to be leaning more obviously on basketball.
But I don't know that you can't do that because the 90% of the revenue in college athletics now is from football. I think more than anything, you have to build up the ACC football brand. That's on ESPN now to do that.
Yeah.
You can't just consistently have shows on Saturday mornings talking about how bad the ACC is. I think those things will start to be diminished greatly since they have now a finance. You'll see it. I can't imagine that, because it wouldn't make sense otherwise. Yeah, the ACC football is awful. There's one team and one giant and a bunch of dwarves. But hey, go check out this game on ACC Network starting at noon. I mean, that can't happen. So I want to see if that changes the narrative or the national perception at all when that does come to fruition in 2019 or 2020. When does that thing debut, by the way?
I think I know that Clemson opens up the season, I think, on a Thursday night against Georgia Tech or something of that arrangement, and that's going to be on ACC Network. So I imagine,
that's right. It's August of this year, right? It's just a mere 6 months away.
Yeah. So I imagine that's going to be that'll be the big launch of at least live programming on that channel. So, yeah. ACC Network is set to launch on Thursday, August 22nd. Clemson and Georgia Tech will make history a week later. So, yeah, they'll launch on the 22nd of August, and then a week later they'll have Georgia Tech at Clemson live.
And I would think they would do it like leading up to the Florida State-Clemson game, especially if it's a big game because teams have good record. The Florida State has a good record. They would show like an all-day – wouldn't they do like an all-day marathon of great Florida State Clemson games? Or maybe put that on ESPNU like they have Duke, North Carolina basketball games?
Yeah, like they do the Iron Bowl and stuff. But you'd be surprised, man. Like they're not going to do a lot of they do some live studio programming, special stuff, but otherwise, man, like SEC Network is live. It's live games, whether it's a volleyball game or gymnastics, and it's their one studio show, and then it's like old games and Feinbaum. We'll probably be taking the role of Feinbaum on there.
Sure.
But yeah, I am curious to see like what sort of, like inside the helmet with Florida State they do. Like if they're going to have like a weekly 30-minute segment on Wake Forest football and Florida State football, because they do like SEC film study where like Matt Stinchcomb will go like to Oxford and sit in the film room with their coach and look at tape from the week before. But anyhow, we'll see how that all goes.
I can't wait.
Corey, hey man, great job out of you today. I don't say it enough. Thank you for what you do every day, man.
Man, you know what I do is I get up, I put my pants on one leg at a time, like everybody else. But then after that, I make great podcasts. So that's where I was going to say that's where you and I differ, but that's not true. That's where me and you and most everybody else, I've screwed this up. See, I just ruined it. You complimented me, and then I ruined the entire sign-off of the show.
You're so
humble.
I
apologize. I'll get better.
Okay. We'll get better together as a team. We'll talk to y'all on Monday. Have a great one, everybody.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.